Yeah, hello everyone and welcome. This is the first day of the OpenStack Manila Gazpacho mid-cycle. So it's been a couple of weeks or months since the last time we met on PTG. We will use this opportunity not only to talk about like the progress we've been doing on features, but also like use this as some time that we have for um, doing collab review sessions, which help us understanding the viewpoint of the change authors, and also like get the chance to ask questions live and try to hash out details of implementation um, faster than you would. So yeah, I'm talking too much. And I think we can get started with the very first topics. I didn't actually have a specific list of topics. Um oh, sorry, hey, Kiran. I think it might be a VPN thing, Kiran. Sorry about that. Is is it okay for you if you're off a VPN for this meeting? I'm not sure. If it doesn't work, then we can attempt a different approach for this call. I was like just trying to use Meetpad as like this is something people from the community try to use, and like it's open source, so and it's hosted by OpenDev. Um, yeah, please let me know if that doesn't work, Kiran, and then we can switch to a different bridge if everybody's okay. Yeah, thanks, Gautam. This is a good idea. All right, so we have lots of people in the room. Thanks everyone for joining. As I was just mentioning, I didn't actually add an order for this for the topics and the time slots. I think we have enough time to go through all of the changes, considering the amount of time that was asked by the change authors to me. So yeah, we can go through topics. There's only one, actually, only one request for timing, which is Manila UI features that will happen on Thursday. So the other, we can follow the, I don't know, we can follow the order of who'd like to share, like their features and their patches first. Right, I'm saying too much. Let's get started. So I added previously here QS types as one of the first QS types. Sorry, as one of the first discussions for today. Kiran, is it connection stable now?
Stable. I just
Hey,
dropped out of.
okay, thank you. So I see, I think Sailaja, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, and please correct me. Um, would you, I see your hand raised. Would you like to say something?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. And thanks for joining. Right, Kiran, is it okay if we start with QS types?
Yeah, fine. I'll share the screen.
Right, I'll stop my screen sharing then. Please take screen share over, and yeah, floor is yours.
I think I'm facing some issue with respect to sharing the screen. Some kind of setting.
Oh, let me see if there is something I can do. 1 second.
Maybe
Oh
I.
yeah, I think it worked. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what do I have is basically the implementation of QoS type, as it has been decided that we'll be allowing to add the specification of the QoS through a QoS type, and the specification will be provided as its specs. Uh, Based on that, uh, I'm not sure about the code walkthrough, but let's assume we are going through the API. So what do I have in API? So this is the redirection for QoS types and QoS type specs. Uh, and in QoS types, there is this implementation of list, get all, create, delete, and update methods. As it is being decided to have the QoS type with name of the QoS type should be the unique, as it will be passed to the backend drivers to decide some unique name for that particular policy. So for the update, we are just allowing to update the description. Otherwise, this implementation is much more similar to what we have share type and share type spec, extra specs. Uh, like in QoS type specs, uh, basically the implementation and both these uh, objects and its interfaces are admin only. For create, update, delete, the get and get all is kind of applicable for project reader and, and admin. So this is the patch of core Manila where there is no.
Can you just increase the size of the font, or basically the zoom size of the screen so that we can? Yeah, that's better, I guess. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, these are the two main files into the API layer with respect to QoS type and QoS type specs. In the share, as we have decided that in order to use the particular QoS type for a given share, that QoS type should be mentioned as a default QoS type into the share type extra specs. So what we are doing in the share creation path is basically checking if there is a default QoS type is being specified, and if it is being specified, we try to retrieve this, and if it doesn't exist, we throw the error. Otherwise, we use that QoS type for further processing of share creation. Uh, yeah, and this is the implementation of DP as it is being said into the blueprint or the spec uh, of the QoS type, which was merged like last month ago. Apart from this API and the DP, mostly the interesting implementation would be in the scheduler. So now what we have is basically new capability for the driver called QoS type support, which is being used to filter out which backends will be used to create a share with a default QoS type uh, based on whether they support QoS type or not. So in the so in I think yeah. So in the so what we do today is basically we have the extra specs which are matching with the as it is with the backend driver capability. But here the capability that we are using is the QoS type support. On the other hand, the extra specs that we are using in the share type is the default QoS type. So what we are doing is basically if the default QoS type is being specified, so we already have verified in the API layer that whatever the values used in the default QoS type is valid value. So let's assume at this point the valid value is exists there, whatever it may be. But if it is being specified, then we should get the QoS type support capability reported by the backend driver, so that scheduler can consider that particular host for the creation of the share.
So
So
how are we solving the problem of conflicts between the extra specs and share type support?
conflict between extra
So,
spec and share type.
yeah, if I provide the QS values in the extra spec as well as if I use a QS type as well as part of share creation, are we erroring out, or in that case
No, no, we
we are
cannot
using?
specify the QS type as a share creation. So we decided to have the
Okay,
default QS type specified, and that will be for the share creation. At least that
okay,
is what decided in the spec. So we are using that particular default. So in our use case, we'll be having some performance QS type, maybe 3, 4, 5, like gold, silver, platinum, etc. And we are okay with having a share type for that one-on-one mapping with that QS type. So that is what it is being decided. And rest other files are mostly yeah, this is the basically the validation of the extra spec.
one more
Uh,
question, Kiran, before we go forward. Uh, I think we had discussed this during the spec review. How are we deciding between adaptive and traditional, or are we only supporting adaptive in this case,
no,
or is
that
that
will be covered. No, no, that will be covered later. This is the pull request of only the uh, core and API and DB.
okay? Okay, got it. That is the
Yeah,
implementation on the driver side.
yeah,
So we will have something to indicate whether it is going to be adaptive or not, right?
yeah.
Is adaptive.
Right. We will be having one field into the called policy type, which will specify that what kind of policy it will be. And this is NetApp
Okay,
specific. Other drivers can use whatever they want.
whatever they
Uh,
want. Got it.
yeah, and
So,
then there
oh,
will be
sorry, one more question, Kiran. Actually, I have. So, I think for pool capability, populating pool capability for QS, I think we already supporting that for pool, right? So, whatever you have
that is
added for
the
scheduler, that is
no, no,
applicable for other driver. Hmm. Yeah, please go ahead.
that is a that is QS support. This is the new capability called QS type support. So going ahead, we are going to maintain only one of it. Let's see how other drivers think about it. But like if you are planning to get rid of QS, specifying the fixed QS policy as a part of share type extra spec, we should better use the QS type and remove the support of I think QS support, something like this exists already. QS support.
Yeah, QS support is there. That is
Yeah,
populating
QS.
as a QS in the pool. So,
Right,
But QS type will not be supported by all the drivers, right? So till that support becomes popular,
right.
we will
So
have to
that is
keep
I
both.
think QS. QS. So this will be QS type supported. It's the QS one. That is the previous one.
right, right. So, will this means if you are having the two entry, will that not be confusing for the customer to means what is that one is the QS type support and whatever the new you are adding
Right. So
QS support.
ultimately, we are the one who are going to tell customer what to use and how to use. So if they have the confusion, we have to mention all these things into the documentation. And also, today, the way QS is implemented to the share type extra specs, we are not going to remove it immediately. So we'll keep both for the like the new as well as the old implementation. And we also allow not to allow having both used at a time. So someone who is using the old type can migrate to the new type at least for some releases.
Okay, fine.
So this is the implementation of core driver, mostly
Mhm.
covering the tests, uh, the API layer, the DB, and the interaction with the scheduler. Uh, this is something one can go and check through the pull request. It's basically API and all these things, the documentation stuff. I think I think yeah, these are the things that we have for the QS type with respect to implementation without driver. And then there is a second. Yeah, then there is a second pull request. This is with respect to driver. So what we are doing in this pull request is basically we are reporting the QoS type support. Uh, so previously it was a QoS support for the existing stuff. We are adding the new support, new capability QoS type support. Then the existing code
So
where
in Gazpacho, both will be true, right? QS is equal to true as well as QS
yeah,
type support
yeah,
is equal to true.
yeah. But
Okay.
one cannot use the share type with both. So what we are doing, the existing implementation that we have in the path of share creation and the share replica creation is the this function where we check the extra specs. We get the extra specs from the share, and this extra specs has the implementation of the QoS as well as the adaptive QoS, but the adaptive QoS being used only for the DHS false, and it is being specified as the name of the policy, assuming that policy is created beforehand as a part of deployment. So in addition to getting this extra spec as it is the code, we are also getting the QoS type specs, and we are checking if the type specs are being provided along with the QoS specs, then it's an invalid combination, or even the because this QoS specs today is applicable only for the fixed policy. For adaptive, we are simply using the name of the adaptive policy. So in the both options are being validated to make sure that if the type specs are used, no previous or the legacy way is being used for the QoS implementation. And then this method of validating the provisioning option for the share, there are no much changes into this method apart from the way we are checking the cluster credentials for the QoS specs or the adaptive QoS. It's just the additional condition that even for the QoS type specs, we need to have the cluster credentials. And if the way if the QoS spec is supposed to be set or like true, then if it is the old way, we are creating the policy the way it is today, the old way. If it's a new way, then we are getting this spec uh, to create either the QoS policy or the adaptive QoS policy. And these QoS type specs are being gathered through this function, the way something similar to the way QoS specs are being fetched or formulated through the extra specs. We are getting the QoS type specs which are being normalized or formulated through this method. So what we are doing in this method is basically we are checking the policy type, and if the policy type is not specified, then this is kind of invalid combination. We must have one of this specification for that particular QoS type as a policy type, which will be having either fixed or the adaptive, and if there is some unsupported value, then that is also error. And then the way the keys are validated today for fixed policy, something similar are way are validated for the fixed policy, uh, but the way the fields are provided are based on the variables that are used in the REST implementation. So in the Zappy, it's I think it's a max dash throughput dash IOPS. On the other hand, in the REST, it's underscore. So we have to specify this in the documentation that what would be the actual parameters that one should use. Admin basically, because these are the admin only APIs, QoS type creation deletion, like how those should be specified.
So
Uh,
we need to also validate the floor not to be a negative value, right? For all these IOPS and throughputs that can be entered.
Okay, we can validate. I mean, I haven't seen this kind of violation in the existing code. We are basically assuming that whoever providing value is not dumb enough to do this kind of mistakes. Basically, he's an admin, he's a cloud operator. But if you want to have the negative checks, then we can add that those as well. And in case of adaptive also, we have some specs which are mandatory and some specs which are optional. The optional specs also has some fixed values defined as per the documentation, and those values are kind of validated to make sure the uh, correct value, or basically we can create the adaptive QoS policy from this. And all these things are already basically, once we normalize those, then we have this function of creation of the QoS policy, or the creation of uh, yeah, the creation of the QoS policy. And this function again checks whether it's a fixed and it's adaptive. So as of now, in order to create the unique name for the policy, I have simply used fixed underscore QoS and the name of the V server, and then another underscore and the name of the QoS type. So this helps to create the unique policy, at least for the testing of mine is concerned. I know there are some limitation with respect to size of the length, or the length of the adaptive QoS policy. So if you have any suggestions, then let me know. Otherwise, I have to add some logic by which I will restrict this into some length, and then have some kind of hashing across this, which will generate the unique name for this one. But the length of 147 is seems to be good enough, assuming someone is not using very long name for the QoS type.
No, that 147 is OpenStack limit, right? What you are saying. For ONTAP, it will
No.
be less, I think.
So whatever the limit of on type, we have to kind of make sure that that fits in within this.
Correct, correct.
Uh,
I remember of mentioning it in the spec proposal. We'll verify
yeah,
once, Kiran. We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah.
Uh, Another question I had was about min and max, right? So, any values can be set, right? I can only just
Right.
use it
Any
for
values
new
can be set,
terminal,
not both values. Something similar the way it exists today.
not
So if
mandated,
you
right?
specified the max, you have to specify only one. Either it should be IOPS or it should be MBPS, not both.
But I cannot have
And
a combination of, IOPS and throughput both set, or that is also allowed, right?
that is allowed. I think that's what I see with the existing implementation. It just validate that either, I mean, if min is specified, then only one min. If max is specified, only one max. So in max, in the existing implementation, we can specify the four, like max IOPS, then per GB, like either of these four has to be there, then either of the four has to be there with the old implementation or the existing implementation of the QS. So there is
Okay.
no
I
way
think
as such.
yeah, I actually even there is few customer actually they are asking to have the multiple value. I think right now we are restricting only passing the one value, but on tap
Right.
support to set the multiple value actually.
So basically,
Some
you can
IOPS,
limit it.
MBPS
You can
also.
put
Yeah.
limit on the IOPS as well as throughput. So I think we shouldn't limit that. The same limitation that is there on
Ah,
QS. So I don't think we should enforce it on the policy type, QS type.
so basically you are saying that one should specify both these, like through
Can
IOPS.
specify, not mandate
Okay,
it, but there is a
it's
possibility
fine.
that
Like
both of
in
them
this
can.
case, I just need
Right.
to remove these checks. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's better to have. Yeah.
Yeah. And then according to the policies will be provided to the provisioning option. So this is the mostly implementation. Basically, you can go and check the code of the C mode and C mode rest. It's quite big code. Basically, the implementation of respective functions for the creation, deletion, rename, some kind of cleanup, and etc. The same interfaces for this happy and same for the rest. So let's not go into this. What we have in the libbase is how and which workflow it has handled. So what we are doing, yeah. So the in case of adaptive QS or the fixed QS policy that we are creating in the new way, we are preferring the way of lazy creation and the lazy deletion, as opposite to what we are doing today with respect to fixed QS policy that we are creating using the QS spec, where we are creating policy for every share creation and we are deleting the policy for every share deletion, and then we are considering that policy also during the share migration. Because that was a share specific policy, now we are going to create share server specific policy which will be applicable to all shares. I mean the share on which the particular policy from the share server will be applied. So what we are doing is that we are not creating the policy when the share server is created. We are creating the policy in a lazy manner when the first share with particular share type is being created. So we are checking whether the policy exists. Like even in the implementation of this function of the creation of the policy, we are checking if the policy exists. If it doesn't, then we basically creating the policy.
So
So
in that case, there can be a share type that is present on Manila, but it may or may not be uh, present on the SVM where the share is going to be created. And during the share creation, we are going to make sure that the policy is created with the spec that is defined in the share type.
right. So
Oh,
if
sorry.
if there is a vserver1 and you are creating a share with policy gold, then vserver underscore gold is created. And if you are going to create another share with share type silver or QS type silver, then if you choose the same share by the existing function which returns the compatible share server for the share creation, we are not modifying that function, assuming we can create policies for that particular share server. So in that case, we are creating the policy silver on that share server and applying to the second share. So the policy will be created on the share server only when that particular share is created. If the next share is created with the same policy on that share server, we
Mm.
simply need to apply that into provisioning option without being creation. And in the deletion
Okay.
manner also, we are
I
not.
have I have one more question. When we are
Okay.
actually validating that the QS is present on SVM, are we also validating the values to match to the
No, no, no,
QS type?
no, no. That is
Only the
being
name.
no, no. We are checking the name because the name is unique based on that QS type.
But there can be a differential. Say someone went ahead and updated the policy on tap. If in case, right, uh, we are not doing any corrective action when we are
So
and
see,
we are only
right,
validating by name, right?
when someone has made, I think we had someone from the NetApp has done this testing that if someone modifies the parameters of that particular QS policy, the modification goes through. It takes some time on the backend to make that changes, but the modification API doesn't return any error, and eventually the modification will get applied automatically for all the shares or the shares that are using that policy. So
Right.
from the front end or
Right.
the Manila point of view, we cannot guarantee each and every time that if something has been changed, then we have to go and it's more of like a nanny or bookkeeping, which one can.
Lost him.
Okay,
Okay. I
lost
think
him.
we lost.
Yeah, Anup, I think ideally means even Gautam can correct me means it's not recommended to means somebody go and change the policy parameter from the on tap. If it is
Yeah, that is
dedicated
that
for
is in the
open,
ideal world. Why I
ideal
agree.
node, yeah, right. Hmm.
But I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that if in case there is a discrepancy, what is that we are. So basically, all you need to do is throw an error in case either we can take either of those two
Hmm.
behaviors. Either throw an error if my spec doesn't match to the QoS spec that is on tap, or at least warn the customer that what he's trying to do or what he's setting is not what he is expecting in the spec. Either of those two behaviors, right? So if we just go and succeed, it may kind of someone may think that my bully volume scenario, which is going to be solved by the QoS, may get solved, but
Hmm.
it may still be there, or it may still
Okay.
persist.
So along with that policy name, he need to validate all the parameter before
Yeah, it is
creating the
basically like
policy.
a deep deep
Deep.
diff
Okay.
basically.
Okay. Okay. So I think in on tap we are allowing to create with the same name with a different parameter.
No, not
Eh,
that, but in on tap I can modify the policy and change the values basically. So let's say in my QoS type spec in Manila, I have 1,000 as my high IOPS, right? And someone goes and modifies that to say 10,000. So if I'm expecting a volume which is, overshooting my IOPS to be curbed because of that policy that is attached, it may not work. It may continue to allow it to go to, bursts of 10,000 IOPS.
Mm. No, no, my question is, suppose that I have a policy name created, something XYZ on the V server, okay,
Mhm.
even with different parameter. So I am not allowed to create with the same policy name with a different
You
parameter, right?
cannot do that
Policy
at
name,
SVM level.
uh,
SVM name, sorry, policy name is unique. But
policy name. So
the
in
another
his
scenario that
case,
can happen is, what if someone goes and creates a policy on ONTAP and we don't validate it? We only rely on name. That is possible.
Hey guys, can we take this offline? Let's
right,
go
right.
with the
No,
next one.
no, actually, he's not sharing, so we thought, okay, discuss. Yeah.
Yeah, so I tried.
No,
Carlos, can
those
we
are
proceed
valid
with the
points,
next one?
no, Kumar.
Yeah, yeah, we will discuss. We need to discuss this.
Yeah, yeah.
So I tried pinging Kiran. Yeah, maybe if there are still like questions from him, and I think there might be, we can use some time when he's back, or on Thursday, to try to continue this discussion. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened. I tried to ping on RC, so I think he might have lost his connection. So yeah, I think we can wrap this up for now, and then I would recommend, like, this is a discussion that is really um, important for upstream as well. So if we can try keeping it going upstream as well, it would be important. And I would have also a couple of questions, as for example, like the behavior that you guys are talking about, and the policy would change, and like if you modify it on top, can modify the value. So I would have questions about that too. But yeah, I think we also need Kiran in the room, so I think we can use some time to discuss that, like on Thursday. So please, if
Yeah,
possible, keep the discussion upstream.
yeah, we need Kiran in that. So if I remember correctly, in the spec proposal, the policy QS type creation is decoupled with the driver, I mean share usage of the policy. So he clearly called out in the spec, if I remember, if you had created a QS type, and if you are modifying the QS type in the OpenStack, only if you are going to use that QS type in the next share creation for the same SVM, it will not, then only it will get modified. Otherwise, it will not modify. We need
Okay.
to check, but Anup point is valid. We need to check whether that has been replicated or not. I mean, the translated to the code or not is what we need to check once. We need to have a detailed discussion. I agree with Anup.
Yeah, got it.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, so if everyone's okay, then let's try switching to the next topic, and then we can continue QS types in case there are any. Oh, Anup, it's good.
No, no, that was by mistake. Sorry.
Oh, no, good. All right. So yeah, I think there might be other questions for QS types, so I'll note it down here. So yeah, let's switch to the next topic. I think Kumar, you wanted to go next with replication, synchronous replication feature,
Yeah,
right? So floor is yours. Please do screen share if you'd like, or if you need me to do the screen share, I can do that too.
I'm new to
Yeah, it's working.
Teams. I mean,
I would
meets.
just ask you to please do some zoom in, because
Yeah,
yeah, font size is small.
good now. Fine.
Bit better. Yeah,
So
better. Thank you.
yeah, so this review request is related to the driver side changes. So we want to support the synchronous replication for the Manila share. Currently, we have the async based replication using the mirror all snapshots. So so this driver side changes. So you can assume that the as we discussed it in our PTG meetings and design discussions, we should be having the share replica metadata. Share replica will have the metadata supported, and the user should be passing that metadata while creation of the share replica. That metadata as part of the metadata will pass the replication policy that will be utilized for the underlying snapper relationship creation. So these changes, I will go to the very pointed changes so that it will be
Kiran,
easy to,
how
yeah,
hello? How long I
yes.
was away from the?
I don't know, 5 minutes or so. But
Oh
we
man,
switched discussions. Sorry about that, Kiran. We can continue that later if you're okay with it. So
yeah, I,
welcome back.
it's fine. I was just checking, and then I thought I was about to unshare the screen, and I thought I saw that I already out of call. Irrespective of I'm not in VPN, this get disconnected.
Oh,
Okay, I think you guys continue.
thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kiran. So the changes will, I will just go to the core changes. I mean the main part of the changes.
Okay.
So in the libbase, these are the supported policies that we'll be supporting. So mirrorless snapshots will be existing, and sync and split sync will be supported along with that. And we'll do the validation whether the given passed policy is in the metadata key value pair is part of is being supported or not. If there are any, if it is not supported, it's not matching the policy name, then we'll throw the error. And so the changes went into the four workflows. One is a create, promote, resync, and delete replica. And coming to the create replica, we'll be verifying the, we'll be trying to extract the policy from the metadata. So I will go through the extracting part. So will be getting the data from metadata of the share replica object, and we will be verifying whether it is a sync or strip sync. Then we'll set the flag as is sync policy. Otherwise, it will be uh, false, which is async. Sorry, I'll minimize this to avoid confusion. And we do the some of the checks that replication policy is only supported for flex wall in case of sync, and we will throw the error for the flex group. And also some enhancements we had done for the logging for easy debugging. And we will apply the schedule only if there is a, if it is a sync policy. Otherwise, we will not apply the schedule for the sync policy. And XDP is what all the relation, all the snapper relationship will be created using that. And this is a, 1 second, I think I need to expand. Yeah. So this is the resync uh, workflow where we will be determining the policy type, and depending on the policy type, we will be changing the desired snap mirror state. Because for async it will be snap mirrored, for sync it will be in sync. So depending on that we will be verifying, and for Zappy it is something else. So we had taken care of all those things so that the replica relation status will be correctly reflected, whether in sync or out of sync. These are all the changes that goes in. And whatever is not applicable for sync policy, like schedule is not applicable, those checks will be relaxed in case of sync policy. And remaining all will be same. Nothing major changes will go because it is common for async and sync, and some debug statement has been added here. And coming to the promote replica also not much changes in this particular file, but I will go to the next file where the changes will be, which is the data motion file. So So we need to get certain attributes like policy type and policy for our workflow checkings in the below layers. So while creation of the snap mirror, we'll get the policy and from the metadata, and we will skip the scheduling if it is a sync policy. will not set any schedule because it's not supported by design by ONTAP for sync. And we'll verify the states. We'll verify the policy. If it is a sync policy, then we need to initialize with the in sync uh, status. And if it is a async policy, it should be snap mirrored. Accordingly, we will be passing that state to initialize. And coming to the delete snap mirror, the delete snap mirror requires the quasi in case of sync. In general, async also should be we should be doing the quasi, not just about and delete. So that has been introduced. This is the additional step that we had introduced, and rest all will be same. Nothing changes, and I will skim through. Wait, this is what? Yeah. So this is a part of the promote replica. So in the promote replica, we'll be changing the snap error source. So for the snap error source, so right now what we're doing is we are just releasing the snap error relationship for the flex group only. But the recommendation from ONTAP is always do the release, but you keep the snapshots. Just release the relationship only, but keep the snapshots. So that is being modified accordingly as per the ONTAP best practices, and which will work for both sync and async. And coming to the create, which is a reverse replication creation from B to A, I mean A to B. We are kind of getting the taking the replica policy from the metadata of the new destination. I mean the replica which we are trying to promote, and we are passing that policy to the create snap error relationship, which we just discussed above here in this. So those are the two major changes that we'll be seeing that we'll be releasing, but we're retaining the snapshots irrespective of the policy and the supported policies that pre-canned. And accordingly, we modified the REST API request and response objects, not response request objects only, to make it work for both the sync and async. So these are the properties that we need to send instead of sending the volume and vServer as per the ONTAP guidelines. And remaining all are test related changes in accordance to this, and some cover some of the sync policies. And yeah, these are just the constants we are defining so that we don't need to worry about typos. Yeah, that's all from driver side. So this will cover these changes will cover the create, resync, promote, delete replica for the sync snap and support. If the policy is not passed in the metadata, that will be using the mirror snapshots, how it is using the till the flamingo. The behavior will be same, nothing with the backward compatibility. Any questions?
Yeah, I think Gotham has a raised hand there. So Gotham.
Hey, thank you. Uh, Kumar, a couple of questions. I think one was, I think when promoting replicas, the reason the release was not used in the past was because we want to keep that information around because of the when you do a promotion and then you want to promote back, it makes things easier. There's on-tap metadata that that makes things faster in terms of reestablishing the relationship in the opposite way. So
Right.
is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what it is. I'm saying, we are not releasing the uh, uh, what we say relationship.
The
We are
snapshots.
not, yeah, snapshots. So that's what the baselining will take time in general. So
Okay.
we will retain the snapshots, but we'll do the release. So that is what the ONTAP recommended. This thing, even in our other manageability products, right? That's what we do.
Okay. That makes sense. Another thing that was there was, I think what happens to sync snapshots? Sorry, sync replicas when you're doing an update. So every few, I don't know, I think 15 minutes, Manila is going to come around and ask for what the status of the replica is.
Hmm.
So how does it work with sync snap mirrors?
Plus, sync also it will be same. Nothing changes because it's the life cycle call, right? We don't
Correct.
have any other way to do.
True. Okay. So basically, is there a way for you to check in the same way that we are doing with async, that you're able to establish what is the difference between an in sync replica and an out of sync replica?
Uh, yeah, that's what we had taken care here, right, Gautam? Because the statuses will be different for both.
Hmm.
Wait, it is
No, I think what Gautam you're asking is how do you know whether a relationship is in sync or out of sync?
Correct. And
In case of
very
syncing.
coarsely, I mean, those statuses were meant to be very coarse, because we were trying to generalize against all the backends and such.
correct.
So you could have,
Right.
like, micro states
Yeah,
with
you
one tap,
see,
for
yes,
instance.
yes. You could have the lost transfer error, right?
Hmm.
The moment you have a error, whether it is sync or async, it will be set to the out of sync.
Okay.
Okay,
Or
it works for both. Yeah,
okay, and even the last transfer timestamp and the
even the
comparison block.
yeah lost transfer. Yeah, that has been taken care here.
Okay. Makes sense. And you had another concern with snapshots,
Hmm.
the pre-existing snapshots
Yeah,
for existing shares that you are
correct.
trying to replicate.
Yes, yes,
So how
yes.
is that being handled?
Yeah, so that is being called out as we had a discussion with OnTap. They don't have a way as of now. This is as per the design. They will not be replicating the snapshots prior to the relationship creation.
Hmm.
They will not be mirroring it out. If such there is such use case, they had suggested to use the async policy, which is mirror all snapshots. So we had raised a uh, requirement on the on tap, so that has to come in, then only we can do. And whatever the API that they suggested manually transferring the snapshot, that is not working. Even that is also something different. It's trying to transfer the snapshot from site A to site B by deleting from site A. It's doing the cut and paste kind of thing. It's not copying and pasting. So that's not what we are intended to do, right? So there also we had raised a bird for that. So right now the design approach what we had taken is the snapshots created before establishing the share replica will not be mirrored to secondary site if you are using a sync policy, and that if you had such kind of things, the relationship, the replica status will go to out of sync. So you have to either delete them or first you create a relationship and then you take the snapshots. This is what we are going to go with in this release, at least until OnTap comes up with enhancements for us.
Okay, so the replica will be set to out of sync
Yes,
at its creation, if
yes,
it notices that there are existing snapshots. How is this
yes,
being
yes.
communicated to the end user, though? Are you using a user message?
No, this is out of sync. So we cannot communicate that, right? Because you don't know which snapshot is that. Because you will come to know only if the this will happen only if you are you remember that update state, right? In the update state, we'll be checking the snapshots.
Mhm.
Wait, where is that code? So where, where is this?
I think we are
Yeah,
logging it, right?
check. Yeah, no, we are logging it. We are just saying that we could not find a snapshot, but you don't know whether that snapshot is taken before creation of the replica or after creation of the replica. So we will be just logging it out for now.
I see. So
Yeah.
uh, when you're creating the replica, you could check if the primary has snapshots.
If the primary has the snapshots, but yeah, we can do that. We can
That is
do
a
that.
good
But
point. Yeah.
what is your recommendation? We will
Yeah, so I'm
stop him
trying to
or we'll
think
just
through
log him?
this. I'm trying to think through this, right? So technically, when somebody creates a
Hmm.
share,
See,
um,
you will get the
and
share snapshots. Okay, you will get the share snapshots in the create. You can see the length of that. We can either log it saying that you have snapshots, it will go to out of sync,
Logging
or
is
you will
good
stop it.
for an administrator, but not
Mm,
helpful for an end user, right? So
correct.
the replication stuff is being probably used mostly by tenants,
Tenants.
by
Yeah.
non-privileged users. So
That's one of the reason we didn't take that path, right, Gautam? We don't want to put a very hard stop on that initially when we are thinking of this. But you can suggest, we'll discuss internally.
no, there's no stop. I'm not expecting you to error out,
Hmm.
because I mean it is kind of a it's definitely up to the user to be able to have to delete a backup that they've taken at some point.
Hmm.
And that could not be probably aligning with their use case, and they probably don't care if that is not replicated. I mean, there could be a scenario where they're okay with there are old snapshots that are there that they could still put them to use, but they're not
Hmm.
protected through disaster recovery and whatnot.
Hmm.
But surfacing that up to the end user is something that if it can be done easily, it should be done. So there is a vehicle called user messages, and it's pretty
Okay.
simple to use. The driver's already doing that in several cases. So I'd
Okay.
explore that at this stage where you see that, okay, yeah, there are existing snapshots that need to be mirrored, except this is a sync replica and I can't mirror it. So I would set a user message that says that explains why this new replica that they're creating is going to be out of sync. Um, and I'm not sure out of sync is a good state to be in, given that it's a long term thing, right? So let's imagine somebody creates a share,
Hmm.
and then takes a couple of snapshots, and then 20 days later decides, okay, I need a replica, and this is to be a synchronous replica.
Hmm.
Um, so they go ahead, create a replica, and then this stays in out of sync. They're not
Correct.
sure whether the data that they're writing after that is being synchronized at all. Correct? It'll continue to stay out of sync, given that they
Correct.
had snapshots prior.
Until they delete those snapshots prior to the this thing. Correct.
Right. So that's one. And the other part is, let's say another 10 days go by, and then they want to create another, synchronous snapshot. And sorry, synchronous replica. But between creating the first replica and the second replica, they've taken a few more snapshots. What happens
Hmm.
here, like in the sense of, so you had snapshots on the share, on the primary, that are not going to be replicated at all to any replicas. And then you had
Hmm.
snapshots that were being replicated to one replica, but are not replicated to the third replica, or in
Hmm.
this case, second replica.
No, you can't create two sync snap mirrors for a
Oh,
particular
I see. Okay, so there
this
is no
thing.
fan
Okay.
out replication
No fan
when
out
it comes to.
application. Okay.
So is that
No, even
how
if
is
you
that?
want to do the fan out, even if you want to do the fan out, one is a sync, another is should be a sync leg. Uh, Actually, we are not targeting the fan out to be supported in this release at least. But
Are you
you cannot have
preventing
a
it?
single. Yeah, no, you cannot have a two sync replication for the same source.
I see.
As far as I remember, yeah.
Okay, so are you preventing it in the code?
No, ONTAP itself will prevent in general. Will error out.
True, but how do I know as an end user what's happening?
How do I know as a end user what's happening? Yeah, we need to verify if there is error thrown will be propagated or not, right? So the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider. Okay, so I mean, we can walk back on the fan out stuff, and that's totally fine. You could
Yeah.
you could control this by a few things. One is, I think you have a count of replicas. I think there is a way to set a limit on number of replicas per share. I'm not sure. So you could try and, I mean, as an administrator, that allows synchronous snapshots. Sorry, synchronous replication. You could set a limit, and probably give your users a better user experience. Because as an
Correct.
end user, I don't really know all of this, right? Like so it's a lot of back end logic that's coming out through the API. The only vehicle that
Mm.
you have when you have asynchronous stuff is that user messages. So definitely take advantage of it if there is logic like this that you need to expose to the end user.
Mhm.
Um, and second, so what happens to the snapshots? That's another still an unanswered question. This out of sync status worries me because for the long term status of
Mm.
a replica to be out of sync, it's telling me nothing.
See,
Um,
yeah, yeah. See, that is why we clearly wants to call out in the documentation that this is what it is going to happen. Uh, we can certainly look for that approach user messages that you had mentioned, right? We'll try to incorporate if it
So
works for us by doing a small POC as such.
I
Gautam.
have one question, Gautam. What if we take the approach of not letting a sync snap mirror being created if there is a existing snapshot available on the on tap till on tap fixes this, and then we allow it
You mean
in
a replica creation, not a sync.
replica creation? Yes,
Mm, mm. Yes.
because what can happen is basically a customer may need I understand that backup and mirroring are two different day operations, right? One is day zero, another one can be a day one operation. And ideally what we are saying is that your existing backups, which can be a golden copy for instance, may or may not be replicated on secondary site, and that is the reason why it is out of sync. That doesn't mean that the customer doesn't have his data replicated except for that snapshot that was created prior to the sync snap mirror. But that is where the problem is that the current states that we have on replication, we we can either use them or introduce a new one which will kind of create more confusion, and it will kind of at this juncture will be a problem, right? And I don't think there is a messaging on the replica side where like for instance, if you go to ONTAP, you can see the transfer errors in case something errors out during the transfer. But here in this case, I don't think we have that such kind of messaging. So user message is the only thing that we can explore in this case. So what if we document this saying that this is not going to be supported till, and we know it's a known issue on ONTAP, and say that if you want, you can only do this on shares that are having no backups. Does that kind of
yeah, two good options there. Yeah, definitely. Like if you're able to prevent a sync snap mirror
Mhm.
on a share that already has snapshots, that's not a bad option. You could basically set the replica to error, send a user message saying that the share has snapshots, and so you cannot create a synchronous replica for this.
A replica for this.
right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
that
They
that
can continue
solves
with
your
the
problem.
async.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Solves your problems of this thing. But if you decide, okay, we do need to allow this, so you have two, objects there. One is the share itself, the replica, the snapshots too. So snapshots, when they're coming to you and saying when that create replica call comes to the driver, there is an enumeration of the snapshots. I'm not sure if the share manager is accepting the snapshot states, but that can be enhanced. So you can actually set the exact snapshot state per whatever is the truth in the backend. So right now you're saying that the snapshot's not going to be mirrored. So you could actually set the snapshot state to error. So I think it begins with creating, and
Yeah.
I think there is a poll that actually happens that asks whether the snapshot is ready, has it been transferred to the back to the secondary, and so on. You either using the poll or during create time, you could let the share manager know that that snapshot's never going to make it, and
Yeah.
that
So,
is feedback
so
to.
the problem with that approach we had was, say someone wants to have a local backup, and he continues to, and he goes through the documentation. He understands that there is a limitation to have local backups created before I go and do a sync replication, and he wants to continue to use that snapshot. What happens when we move that snapshot to error state is that you cannot now use that golden copy to retrieve anything on the local. site or on the primary site because it is in that error state. So that was the reason why we chose not to go that path. And I would say that, if we prevent a sync snap mirror to happen, if we see a backup, that might, solve both the problems, because then we are clear about what we are trying to support right now with sync snap mirror, and the customer
Mhm.
can continue to be on asynchronous snap mirror if he wants that behavior from their snapshots and backups. And if they choose to use strict sync or sync, we will have to ask them to get rid of those snapshots or put them into some kind of a cold storage before they come back, and I mean, and delete those snapshots and then come back and maybe create the sync snap mirror till this on tap limitations is resolved.
Yeah. So we should be able to put that check in the create replica if there are snapshots and it is being used with sync. We can even suggest that stick with the sync policy, mirror snapshots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds like a
i-
good approach to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Even I'm in favor of this approach actually. Means if there is a snapshot, we should not go and create the replica. But other point here actually, so where we are going to throw the error actually for end user, because this is the driver code. That means we are going to put those message in the sender driver log actually, or we want to put through the API actually, because API in that manager code we don't know that it's strict sync or it's a kind of sync or it async policy, right? So there is just kind of replication as a DR.
So
So
if we propagate an
API
error,
API.
if we propagate an error during the creation of replica, it should get propagated, or will it not? The API will convert it to a different error, is it?
So because we are when creating the replica, it will come to the driver. So are we handling that one before coming to driver actually? Then it can
No,
be.
no, no. The suggestion is to handle it in the create replica of the driver code because
So
it depends on the
right.
storage vendor driver, right? Whether they
So
support or not forever.
mm, so driver code it's coming, so we are throwing the exception. That means that will be the in the log, right? It's not
Not
like that some.
exception. Not exception. Gautam is suggesting to leverage the user messaging thing.
Okay, okay. I'm not aware
So what
about that.
Girish is
Okay.
Yeah,
saying
even I
is
am
that
not aware. I will check with
no, so
Gautam to give a.
Girish is saying is that if say creation fails, replica creation fails, will the customer come to know why it failed? That is the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
will go into check in the log or in the CLI command where
I don't
we are
think
running
log,
this in the.
as Gautam was recommending, right?
No.
I don't think log is a good way
See, what
because
happens to this exception? When you do this exception, what happens? It will go to user message, right? If I remember.
Yeah, I think the user
It
message.
will go
Gautam,
into.
correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
So when you
Yeah,
throw an
same thing we have
exception,
to
it
use.
won't be a user message right away. You need to capture it, and the driver needs to create the user message. So the messages, they're a whole different entity. Like you can create them from the driver or from the Manila share manager or other places in the code. But the messages,
Mhm.
they can be queried as a different, like with a different command in the CLI. So you can do OpenStack share message list, and then you see all of the error messages or any messages that showed up during, I don't know, a resource creation or deletion, something like that. And then like the resource is going to be identified by that as well. So the user messages, yes, it can be an exception as well, but the user message is going to be a different thing that needs to be created by the driver just to let the user know why that failed, because the
Okay.
user won't be able to access the logs. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Good. Good. Thank you. Means there is a way actually to get those. Okay. Thanks,
Yeah.
Carlos.
yeah,
Well,
we can explore that.
We can explore that, Gautam. We'll see.
Awesome, great,
Any
thanks.
any other questions?
Yeah, have you run this through the existing replication tests?
Yeah, we have to run that. Our CA is node is down. I will run that. In fact, I was kept in an work in progress. I haven't enabled for that. Once for the review, once I do that, I will run that, Gautam.
Yeah, sure thing. Let us know because I think we do make a lot of assumptions even in the tests. I'm not sure if that is I- I'm just not sure if this feature is completely transparent to the tests the way the existing feature is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope it will not break. Yeah, because it's we are introducing property. The tests, the existing test doesn't have the property value on it.
Yeah.
So it will take mirror all snapshot. So hopefully
Yeah,
they
it's
will
a good
run.
point. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, Sai, with your patches, are you adding the metadata tests in
I
the
have added for the core, but we are looking at the driver. So we will
correct?
come up with that. We will answer that, Gautam. Maybe next week sometime. We are deciding on what to add
So,
and the stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah. But
so
we definitely need to have the tempest test for those metadata stuff because existing doesn't have, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, even if you're not going to push the Monolith Tempest plugin, or rather, if it's not finalized, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just put up some code out there. But there could be a reason to do like a broad switch to ensure that all of the existing replication tests are now exercising this synchronous snap mirror, just for that one run to see whether everything is working fine.
Right. Right. Definitely. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Currently, I pushed tests for to validate against a dummy driver for the set, unset, and delete all the operations. But I get your point. We'll come there. Yeah. Thank you.
So many other questions. Um, Srinesh, sorry, I could be mispronouncing your name, and my bad if I did. Uh, would any questions, or would you like to? I think in this case, go next and share your changes.
Yeah, I think I pressed that by mistake. Yeah, I
Uh,
will. Should I share my screen? Yeah, I'll go
okay,
ahead.
thank you. So yeah, I think no more questions for Kumar. Then at this point, if we have, then yeah, let's bring them up in the change. Thanks, Kumar, for presenting. Yeah, Srinesh, first choice.
Um, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So, uh, mainly as part of so in the Alletra MP B10000 HP array, from 10.5 version, we have introduced support for file. Earlier, it was just block. Now we support both block and file. And I think you're already aware that Cinder driver is present. So as part of this, for from that version onwards, we are planning to bring support for Manila. So uh, I'll just go through the code. So this is the first time first introduction of the driver. So the main driver file is in the Alletra MP beaten this directory. So here we've imported the base share driver, and feature wise, we are planning to support the base features: create, delete, uh, update access rules, extend share. We are not supporting shrink share, and as additional feature, we are planning to support manage and unmanage share support. So so we are going with the DHSS is equal to false option. So we are not giving share server support or networking integration. So we have gone with that option due to the limitations or the behavior of our backend drive backend array. Um, uh, Config wise, how we are communicating with our array is through WS API v3 APIs. So the API will be hosted on our array here. I mean at a particular IP. So we need to give the IP an admin username and password with sufficient permissions to execute admin operations, and the debug is just to print the https request response or not. To give that option, we have given the debug config option as well. So uh, I'll just go through the other files as well. Uh, so we will be communicating with the ERA through the REST client, which I've included in a separate folder REST client here. So mainly this class we are using to have all the logic to authenticate the username, password, and generate a token, and we use that token to do further API requests. So I've kept all that logic as part of the REST client directory and the file, and uh, all of that is here. And if I, if I come back to the main file, we will initialize this REST client here, and we will use this to make the API calls. And uh, coming back, so on the backend array, we do have a split of share settings, which is access rules, and the file system. So they are separate resources. So most of the API conversion logic from the Manila model to our what we need for our API to the backend array, I have kept in the file share folder. So all of them follow a similar format. I will just maybe show one. So file share, uh, this is the file share handler file, and we will initialize this from our main driver class. We will, and then we will correspondingly uh, convert and call this as needed for an API. So I'll maybe just go through one API, and that should give an idea. Uh, so as part of the creation, uh, I'll also regarding the share types, we are supporting. So before we create a share, there are two to three share type fields that we support. So we have a field called reduce HP Alletra driver specific key called reduce. Based on the value true or false, it will enable, if it's true, it will enable both compression and dedupe on the array. If it's false, it will uh, disable both compression and dedupe on the array. And the squash option for the access rules also we are controlling through our share type. So these are the two driver specific keys that we support, and we also separately support the default compression and dedupe uh, is as part of the share type as well. If you don't want to use the driver specific reduce key, you can separately also specify just compression and dedupe, but they have to have the same value, either both true or both false. That is a like a design or a limitation. So uh, those those are the two things that we support in share type. If it's not, it defaults to default values if it's not provided. And from here we will use the handler to call the file share, and similarly for different other API calls. So as part of create file share, we will do some input validation, convert it to the backend model that we want to call, uh, that we want to send to our API request. And then we will, like I mentioned, we will use this REST client class to do perform the API call post request here, and to create the share on the backend. Um, we also like there is a backend task where we process, we wait for the task to complete, and once it completes, we just return the backend share name what is created. So uh, generally we're just doing validation and conversion in each of these files which is within the file share folder. You will see uh, there's a convert class in which we are doing all the conversions, and I've kept validation separately in a validation class for any invalid configurations or anything. So um, also on the back end we are following a specific format. So we are doing a encoding base 64 encoding of the Manila share UID to and using it as the backend share name on our array, just for consistency purpose. Not very relevant in Manila side, but just mentioning. So we are using that particular name to create the share on the backend array. And in order to link between the two, we are also using the private storage to link between the ID of the share on Manila to the backend share ID and the rest of the details which is stored on the backend share. Um, this is the create share. I mean, generally as a create share workflow, I went through once, and similarly delete share and extend, expand access rules and the rest of it. Also, yeah, the private storage handler also, like just to communicate with that private storage interface, I kept it in a separate class in the main Alletra driver file only. Um, Mainly code wise, this is the structure. The main driver class which has everything within file share, all the conversion APIs, and then within REST client, the client class to communicate with the backend array. uh, these are just test files and documentations related. I've added a driver specific exception here for our Alletra driver. um, uh, this is a general overview. If you want more in detail, I can go through if whichever part is more relevant, but this is a general overview of the entire new driver. um, any questions or anything more?
Yes, I think no questions. I think let me so a few remarks. One is I think uh, yeah, the code looks fine. I guess the concern that I had was one that we discussed on the code reviews, that when you create a share, it has to be unexported, which means that nobody should have access to it. But it appears that in this driver, everybody would have read access. So if anyone has network paths to mount that share and discover that share, they should be able to mount it, and they would have read access to it. So that's something that I mean that's a little unusual. I mean that is unusual. Period. I don't think any other driver that's in tree has this problem. So that's something to note, and I think you've noted that in the documentation.
Yeah, we'll look into it actually. Yeah, we'll see if we can like bring it in backlog for our future if we want, if to align more to that behavior. um,
Right.
that we'll look into. Yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly around security, right? And it also means that I mean, yeah. Let me ask a clarification. So technically, if you do add an access rule through Manila, that behavior goes away. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, yeah, the first access rule you add, it will override the existing behavior. So we like after you mentioned, we even added a line recommending them to add an access rule, because then that would override the behavior. So that is there, but yeah, we should, yeah, initially it's that's the other behavior. Yeah.
So, can I ask if this is some sort of a technical limitation? Like, you cannot. Um, I mean, I could think of a couple of ways to work around this, right? One is if there's some way to explicitly disallow that behavior, or second, you could just use a dummy IP address, something that is never to be used in public domain, right? So it would be like a documentation IP address from technically something that the driver would just put up as an export rule that's never meant to work. Um, and that might be a placeholder rule until somebody comes around and overrides it with their access rules.
um, uh, Yeah, we could do something like that. I will check a bit more into it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
let
you're
me
saying,
drop you a link on
yeah,
just a second.
yeah,
Sorry for the background noise. I think it appears this
No
thing does
problem.
nothing with noise cancellation. All right, I think it's this RFC. So take a look, I guess, and if it helps you, have a workaround that's sane, that might be of use. And I see that you've also implemented ensure shares. Thanks for doing that, rather than the ensure share mechanism. That's a good, uh, you know, it's a good thing for new drivers to do.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
the other problem that I had was with the CI, right? Is that something that you were able to find help? Uh,
Yeah. So the regarding the log URL, we will. I mean, I have mentioned it to my CA team. I think they will post it in the channel or get send the mail today sometime or tomorrow. So I'll follow up on that. Just regarding the CI, the other issue which we were mentioning, initially actually the CI was running successfully and I had even posted the success logs, but I think there was some issue with with our server, which is why the issue was happening. So just to get the CI to work, I think by today or tomorrow we should get it to start running again with like the same success it was running before. But so that we should be able to resolve by in another day or two. uh, the log link URL will follow up because what I understood from my SEI team people is uh, they need some additional privilege for this account in order to post the log link. So that is the issue they were facing. So like you mentioned, we'll just send that out and see.
okay, awesome. Yeah, if you can use the mailing list or the IRC channel to communicate with these with the infra folks, that might be helpful for you guys. All right.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, I think I don't have any other concern with that besides that stuff. I would like to see the test results. Did you have any problems executing these tests?
No, no, CI side we didn't have any issues. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
it was
And
successful.
I think there was one thing that I saw that I guess there was a multi-backend test that was disabled. But in your configuration, I saw that that you had multiple backends. Um, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or just a miss.
Uh, I think it may be a miss. I will, so it's better to enable it, right? I will enable it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the reason is I think that's one of the only places where we're testing the scheduler behavior to look at two different backends coming in from the test perspective. Like I changed some things, I would like to end up in two different places. That would be the intention of that. So yeah, so if you're able to do that, great.
Okay, sure. Want to check again. So regarding the block IP which you mentioned, I'll look into it. But do you feel it's something which is very mandatory, or can we get an
You
exception for now
you
and
could
then?
you could do that as a bug fix, but I am a little worried about that as I mean as going out as something that is I mean it is an insecure um, thing and
Correct.
very well possible that one of your users ends up reporting a private security bug against Manila that this behavior is unacceptable, right? And that typically would, I mean, it's not going to be a CVE for us, given that it was documented as such, and there is a workaround. But it is something that if it is easier for us to work around automatically, we'd just bother the users lesser.
Got it. Yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, makes sense. And you don't, I mean, if you prefer getting this patch merged and then doing that as a bug fix, that's fine too. We have some more time for bug fixes. We're running on the deadline for merging features. That's in a couple of weeks. But otherwise, for bug fixes, we have a few more weeks.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
Right. So I think Anup, you had a raised hand at some point, and I see also one question by you in the comments. Is there something? Is that the question you had the raised hand for, or is there?
Yeah, that was one question. Shouldn't the share name be or share backend name be decided or share name be decided by the share name template? Or because I think I heard that there is a different implementation of how they name the share in their backend or on the storage. So is
Uh,
there a guideline that?
we did so it's specific to how specific to our backend. So we are just doing a base64 encoding conversion of the Manila share UID in order to create the share on our backend. So yeah, it's is there some guideline, because I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, it's a
think it.
good point.
Yeah.
I think we do have a generic option. It's called share name template. And the way we are using it right now is, I mean, I think there are a few drivers that honor it. And it's basically what's shown to the end user as well, as a share, I think. Let me just drop a link here on the chat. That's the one.
Okay.
And we have a similar one for snapshots and so on. It's worth checking because that is something that the driver is going to see when it gets it. But of course, yeah, you have name, length limitations and so on that you would have to implement.
Yeah, one of the reasons we did that is, yeah, to avoid additional length validations and so on. So that was one of the reasons. So yeah.
Yeah, and one more question that I had was when you said that the dry the, by default the share access rules would be to allow read access to everyone. Is that via the root volume on? I mean, is there something like a root volume that is there, which basically becomes the root, and then after that slash, anything under that namespace actually, becomes the volume level security access or access or whatever we call it in HP side. Uh, just wanted to understand how it is implemented on the storage side. Is it like the namespace, which is the slash, which is accessible, so that a user, if he wants to access the share for mounting purposes, I would allow that root volume to be accessible so that I can see the folder names under it. And then once the mount is created, you cannot do a read or write uh, uh, per se, but later on I can actually add a security rule to allow access to the actual volume or the container uh, under the root namespace. Or is that
Some of it's not like that actually. Um,
okay?
uh, so we just align to the, we are using stock NFS, okay, and we the default option is defined by the kernel NFS configuration only. So that's why we have to align to that model. Otherwise, we understand that by default we are giving read write and for all hosts, right, and root squash. So it's basically
Okay.
whatever the kernel NFS default option, we just align to that. That was the reason behind this. And we
Okay.
don't expose the root file system at all. It's just the path which gets exported.
Okay. Yeah. Then I think it makes sense to have some kind of a workaround to do that, because that kind of becomes a security issue. Okay. Thanks for the
Sure.
explanation.
Yep, thank you. Right. If any other questions? Also, I would like to share. I'm really happy to see that you guys did lots of efforts on keeping the unit test coverage high. Like it's difficult to have patches with the coverage of passing. So thanks for that. That's really appreciated. Thanks for spending the time and writing the unit test, because they're really important. And yeah, I agree with these two things. Like the yeah. If you have time, please look into the share name template. Some drivers use it, but yeah, please check if it applies. Um, yeah, so I think both of us are needing to drop right now, and we are 2 minutes past. We will have more topics to be discussed, and if you'd like to revisit something, we also have the mid-cycle meeting next Thursday. So please join us at the same time. And we can continue discussions now at the OpenStack Manila YouTube channel, or just revisit them next Thursday. So this is awesome participation. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining and for participating. It's great to have this kind of
Next
participation.
Thursday or this Thursday?
Yeah, this Thursday. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Thursday, February 5th, at the same time. And the meeting should take the same, the same amount of time as well, like 1 hour and 30. So, yeah. Um, Again, I appreciate everyone bringing up the changes and sharing your thoughts and implementation details on them. I really appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for joining. Hope you have a great rest of your day, or a great day if you're in the beginning of your day.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.